Hello, friends, family, colleagues, and welcome to our journey to equity. I am so excited that you are here with us today. I am Tamra. I'm a healthcare executive, and as you know, I am on a journey to explore how healthcare advocates, health equity advocates and practitioners, how others, community voice can help us really establish health equity in communities of color. Each week, we are joined by a fellow journeyer, a health equity practitioner, to learn about their journey on the way to create health equity in their communities and empower us and educate us how we can take action individually, for our friends, for our family, and also for our communities. Today on our journey, I'm introducing you all to Dr. Quiana Robinson, who is a dentist and dental advocate here in the Charlotte area. Welcome, Quiana.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so excited for you to be here. So, as you all know, as we enter our journey together, we're going to get familiar with what brought you here today, and you know how your journey has brought you to this point in your career and in your work. But before we enter, I start off by just sort of setting the stage and warming us up a little bit and sharing a little bit about my own journey. And so for those of you that have been tuning in for some time, you're familiar with my journey. But for those of you that are not, I will just briefly share a little bit about my own journey to equity. So I grew up in a Black family, and for me, I grew up in a middle class suburban area in North suburban Atlanta, and I could always notice that there was a significant difference between how my extended family was aging, and just with obesity and diabetes and high cholesterol and high blood pressure, all the things that typically we see in a lot of communities of color. And I didn't see that same disparity showing up with a lot of my white counterparts. And so it always made me very curious. It always made me very aware. And the one thing I think that really helped propel me down this path was at the holidays or in family cookouts, my aunts and cousins would come and say things to me like, you know what, be careful. You're gonna be big like me one day. You're gonna be big like us one day. Watch out, just watch. And so it was those words that I would say actually sort of struck a little bit of fear in me, but also it made me determined. I was determined because I saw how my other peers and their families didn't age like that. And I knew that it shouldn't be like that for us. And so that's really, long story short, what got me interested in healthcare and in health equity, even though at the time I didn't even have the language for it. And so, let's kick it back to you, and let's just start there, really exploring what brought you to this point. How did you get to this point with us?
So, I'll start off that I'm born and raised here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So my dad's side of the family is from South Carolina. So I'm just going to kind of piggyback on what you said. The holidays, we kind of had a traditional Sunday dinner kind of family where my aunts would cook, everything would be fresh from the farm, everything homemade. Yes. And I think that set a stage for me. Also, my love for science. On one end, I just didn't grow up eating a lot of processed food. A lot of home cooked foods was around me growing up. My mom was not a big sweet eater, so she didn't let me have a lot of things. But my journey here started with just a love for science. I always loved science. I kind of call myself one of those nerdy kids. Yes. Because I did summer camps where we dissected things. I volunteered at the hospital. So I knew my path was healthcare. Right. Just didn't know what form of healthcare. Okay. I was involved in high school with HOSA, which is Health Occupation Student Association of America. I think I have that right, but it was called HOSA, and we had the opportunity to shadow someone in the health field. I had already volunteered at the hospital. It really wasn't quite my speed. I'm a very talkative, I'm an outgoing person, so I shadowed my dentist at the time. And I never turned back. When I went there and shadowed in the office, it was lively, it was a lot going on, it was a lot of hustle and bustle, and that was me. So I knew very early on that dentistry was for me. Wow. So
did you ever think in your love for science that dentistry would be a potential option until that moment when you shadowed?
No, I actually Because of the Cosby Show. Cosby Show was a big factor in my life. I was going to be a pediatric. I was going to be a pediatric provider, and I actually volunteered. Now it's called Novant, but it was Presbyterian Hemby Children's Hospital at that time.
Yes.
I volunteered there, and it was just quiet. It was just. I don't think I had anyone to take me under their wing at the time. I felt like if I would have had a mentor, being first generation from
Absolutely.
college and professional school, maybe I would have chosen that path. But I had more of a mentorship in the dental part, and so that's how I ended up there.
But you bring up a great point, because representation does matter,
Yes.
and especially in the Black community, there's not a large volume of Black dentists in the community either. So what was it about dentistry that really made it click for you?
What made it click was hands-on. I'm a very hands-on type of person. I also saw how the dentist who I was with for a very long time just knew my name, very interactive. Also shadowing them, very interactive. It wasn't just like, oh, they're there, just go and do something.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole team was very interactive. Like, come here, I can ask them questions, very involved. So that's what set the stage. I didn't know at the time that we had such a low number of minority providers in the field. I didn't really recognize that until I actually got to dental school and I don't even want to say got to dental school, but starting to apply to dental school and not seeing a lot of people that looked like me and having to connect to the organizations so that I could see people like me in the field.
Oh, that's so good. And that actually is a perfect segue to the next portion of our journey together, which is endure. So every journey comes with its own twists and turns, and those are actually opportunities for us to learn something for what we are looking to do. So can you tell us something unexpected that you learned along this journey?
Which one? Which time? I would say as a first generation college graduate, went to Winston-Salem State University, that realization of standardized testing. I think that would be the first level. I did not really test well on SATs. I didn't really understand that people were out here taking a whole course on how to prepare for the SATs.
Yes.
So my life is trial and error, and determination, and the word that you use, endure, to keep pressing through, has been my mantra, my mantra since this time. But I didn't do well on the DAT, which is the dental admissions test. Okay. So my path and my journey to dental school is a little, a little windy road. It was not a straight path. So did not test well. That's a long story. We don't have enough time for that. I'll just say I didn't test well, but I did not let that stop me.
Good.
So what did I do? I endured. I looked into summer enrichment programs. So when people are doing their summer break working or on vacation, I was in a summer program tailored to applying to dental school, applying to medical school. Also, just really trying to reinforce those test taking skills. So that's kind of how that was my first encounter with that, is standardized testing. Wow. So once I got over that hump and I realized, oh, okay, this is how they want you to test, then the path was set.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
So I'm hearing a lot of determination in there. Did you know that was in you, or were you just, head down going through? What was driving that determination for you?
I did not want to come back home. Now we hear about gap years. It's so mainstream to take time off. Yes. And I knew I wanted to go to, I don't think we just had options back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so I wanted a career, to be honest with you. I wanted a career that would give me a lifestyle that I could make. I didn't have to live paycheck to paycheck.
That's good.
I'm an only child, so I didn't have a whole lot of hardships. I did have some, but I also saw growing up, living with my mom and just kind of trying to make ends meet, and I just didn't want that struggle. So I wanted a career that was going to provide that lifestyle for me, and also that I didn't have to work to death, right? So that's what kept me going, because also I didn't know, I was like, oh, I like science. What else do I like? At the time, I didn't feel like I had that free thinking to be like, oh, explore this, explore that. It was science. This is what you're going to do, and this is where you're going.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
So it's funny because sometimes on paper, especially in school, the path is very well laid out, and it's, you know, you take these courses, you take this test, you graduate, you apply, and you move on.
Right.
But the journey itself is not always that straightforward.
Exactly.
It's very windy. It's ups and downs. It's different paths and things that you may have to do to get you to that expected end. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
So, okay, we are journeying with you. We have graduated from college. We are in dental school.
No, not in dental school.
Okay, tell us. Where are we next?
So I applied. And another hurdle is that I didn't realize I didn't know how to interview well.
Oh my goodness.
So I had 2 interviews, offered 2 interviews, and I didn't have a mentor. Looking back then, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have somebody say, okay, great, you have these interviews. Let me practice with you so that you can set yourself up well for these interviews, because the interview is, you're halfway in there.
Yes.
They just need to make sure, is this something you really want to do? Are you right for the program? Can we see you succeeding through this program?
Right.
So I interviewed at, I think can I say the name?
Sure.
Okay, so I interviewed at Meharry Medical College the day before I graduated college.
Oh my goodness.
I flew to Nashville, came back to Winston-Salem State the next day, and graduated. Needless to say, I didn't get in. However, I am a Plan B person. So I actually got accepted to a master's program at Hampton University. It was run by Dr. Harold Marino at the time. He was a dentist, a retired dentist.
Okay.
And so they had an 85% rate of getting students into professional school. So you had students that wanted to go to medical school and dental school. So I spent 2 years at Hampton, was able to retake the DAT. I was able to do extra enrichment courses and applied again.
Oh, wow.
So that time, I had multiple choices, and I had mentorship underneath my belt. So I had somebody helping me with the parts of the test that I didn't understand.
Yes. So I'm hearing that theme of mentorship come up a lot for you. It sounds like it's something that you fully recognize you did not have and could have helped you.
Yes.
And once you were in an environment where you did have a mentor, it really helped you navigate some of those pitfalls.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about how important that is, especially as a practicing Black female dentist in our current healthcare world as it is.
It is very important. I participate in several organizations, and we have a pipeline. And so it is, and don't quote me, I know that there's research out that if we need to grab these students all the way in middle school in order for a lot of these pathways to be successful. But there are pipelines. They have undergraduate portions of our organizations so that you can gear up the students while they're in the mix of their core courses in college, and getting them prepared and letting them know this is what you need to do. They have things called impression days so that they can actually see and get a feel of what they'll be able to do in the professional. And I don't want to just single out dentistry, because they have it for medicine, they have it for other programs, but it allows the student to be immersed in it, have contact with the professors. These are the people that are possibly interviewing you. You also get interviewed by students when you're applying to professional school. So it gives the opportunity for you to just kind of get those questions out, not letting the first day you get any information as your interview date, you know? And so starting there and also being able to participate in some of those impressions programs on the other side. When I was a dental student, I see the impact. You know?
I love that.
I see the impact. And then coming out of that, just helping people get into dental school. So I've written recommendation letters. I have numerous students shadowing me, because even for not just dental school, but even for hygiene, that is our mid-level provider, and that is a very competitive field as well, and they have to have shadowing hours before they apply to these programs, or it looks better on the application. So mentorship is, I recognize where it helped me. I want to do the same for someone else.
I love that. And this is also another great segue. I'm starting to hear a little bit about how you've evolved. I'm sure that maybe when you first became interested in dentistry and having to go the path that you went through and really picking up mentors along the way and then actually getting into the practice, I'm a little bit familiar with some of the programs that you're referencing, but only really peripherally. I know that especially this sort of model as it relates to really working with middle school and younger students to put them in a pipeline where they're getting more and more exposure to healthcare careers and really engineering careers, technology careers. There's a lot of programs that we're starting to see really pop up like that. And that's because upward mobility is such a challenge if you are not in an environment where you're exposed by these opportunities, and especially for people of color, kids of color, who are not also introduced to other professionals in the field that also look like them and can share the experience that often we go through that are unique experiences in comparison to the broader population, and can say, I know exactly how you feel, and I can help walk you through that. So talk to us a little bit about your evolution. So once you've started practicing and you are now in a little bit more of the advocacy space, tell us about how that evolution began for you.
So when I came back, moved back after residency, I worked for Dr. Spurgeon Weber Sr., who was a pioneer of oral health advocacy here in Charlotte. And so I worked for him. He was one of the first dentists here in Charlotte who offered and saw patients who had Medicaid.
Wow.
So my service in this realm has always started from the beginning. And so I loved working for him. He had a passion for the community. His office is still located off Beatties-Ford Road. And so just being able to serve my community, and that meant a lot to me, especially based off the missions of my schools where I graduated from.
Now, can you tell the listeners tell them a little bit about the Beatties-Ford Road area for those of you that may not be as familiar? Yes. Sure.
So the Beatties-Ford Road corridor here in Charlotte is on the west side. I say it's like our Harlem of Charlotte. A lot of Black pioneers are from that area. My grandparents had a house in that area, so I spent a lot of my childhood in that area. Some of the first mayors, some of the first dentists, politicians came from the west end of Charlotte, specifically off the Beatties-Ford Road corridor.
Yes,
so,
very important corridor for the Black community in Charlotte. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your, as you've continued working in spaces.
So ended up, when I left there, I've also worked for a dynamic office of Black female dentists who I still have a great relationship now. And so I ended up going into more of the cosmetic space at this point. But they also taught me, and we really honed in on whole health advocacy. So putting the mouth back into the body, because people think that the mouth is, you could take it out, like look at it, do what you need to do, and then put it back in. So really honing in with the patient and how their mouth affects other issues, diabetes, hypertension, stress. You know, we dealt with a lot of TMJ issues. And I really enjoyed my time at that office. And then I flowed through another sector of the VA. So I did my residency at the VA in Philadelphia. So I was able to serve some VA patients, which opened up another way of bringing that whole health, because they're on so many medications, a lot of our veterans. And from there, I took a pause and a reset, and somehow ended up in public health dentistry.
I love it.
So that's where I'm currently. I am a practicing dental director right now for public health. I love what I've done there, the education and the way that my team and I have been able to give back to the Charlotte community.
I love the fact that you have practiced in almost every segment possible as it's related to where a person can gain experience in the dental field. But you touched on something briefly, and I would love for you to go a little bit deeper with regards to how you can't remove the mouth from the body, and we're really all connected as one being, and really looking at dental care as whole health. Talk to us about what you've seen in your practice. What do people need to know? What do you want people to understand before you leave here today about dental health and all the things that it can impact?
How much time do we have? Well, ultimately, what I would like patients to really understand is everything goes through the mouth, what you eat. And so when we look at certain chronic systemic diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, a lot of those things, some are genetic, right? Some are predisposed. You can't help certain blood pressure issues, but some of them can be maintained. Some of them can be prevented. And as a lot of times it's through lifestyle factors, what we eat, things of that nature. So I want to just stress that is one way that oral health can help. One, not only are you getting your mouth and everything in a healthy state, but we're going to educate you on what needs to go in, right? And we can take a little bit more time with you than your medical provider. Also, if there's research out, you can Google it. This is one thing I will say you can Google. I give you permission, is diabetes and periodontal disease. And what periodontal disease is where your bone and your gum, the supporting structures of your teeth, are not healthy. And so there's direct correlation that if your diabetes or your A1C or your blood glucose numbers are not being able to be controlled, then it usually has a direct correlation if you haven't had dental care and you have periodontal disease.
Wow. So if you don't have, I'm just going to put this as simple as I can from how I'm interpreting this. If your dental health, meaning your gums are weaker, possibly more bleeding on the gums, and so that's also making your teeth looser around your gums. There's a direct connection between that and some of the issues that we see related to diabetes.
Exactly. And so what the studies have shown is that if you are able to control your periodontal disease, usually your numbers tend to come down or are able to stabilize a little bit more.
So how does a person control their periodontal disease?
So one, you have to go see your healthcare provider, your oral healthcare provider. You at least want to go twice a year. But those who have been diagnosed with periodontal disease, this is a chronic disease. It's just like diabetes. 2 times a year is not going to be sufficient. You at least need to go 3 to 4 times a year based off your diagnosis in order to maintain and stabilize the health of your gum and bone.
Now, what would you say for an individual? So I go to the dentist twice a year like I'm supposed to. I hate going to the dentist twice a year like I'm supposed to, but I'm so proud of myself once I do go. But I also know that, personal preference is one barrier, right? But there's also other real barriers that people face, whether that's not having dental insurance or, not having a provider that will see a patient that does not have the type of dental insurance that provider is carrying. So what would you say for someone who is concerned about their dental health and just doesn't know where to begin?
Okay, I get this question a lot. So one thing I would say is that, dentists are not going to turn you away because you don't have that dental insurance, or they don't accept that dental insurance. So I think the bigger question is if I can't afford their prices and what they're asking for. I also like to try to educate patients that sometimes you could ask for a payment plan. Some providers rather not deal with insurance companies. They sometimes will, let's set a payment plan. Let's see how we can work together. And that's what a true oral health advocate would do.
That's good.
If none of those options work, I would say first start at your local schools. So like we don't have a dental school here. Our dental school is in Chapel Hill, which is 2.5 hours away. However, we do have CPCC, which is our community college that has a dental hygiene program. Fantastic. So they can get people started on their healthcare journey. So they can at least get your x-rays. They can, if you need a deep cleaning, and that's what the periodontal disease, where that kind of comes into play. Or regular cleaning, that can give you the basis. And then they can say, hey, they have dentists working at the school that can diagnose if you have cavities and any other issues. Then the option from there, because they don't actually take care of the dental treatment other than the cleanings, is they can look for a community health center. That is one option. And so they are becoming more prevalent here in Charlotte. They're called federally qualified healthcare centers, or FQHCs. They a lot of times offer, they do accept Medicaid, Medicare. They do accept insurance plans, but they also offer a sliding scale discount program as well.
Wonderful. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Oh man, I don't know where we would be as a community without our FQHCs and community health centers. So thank you so much for mentioning that.
You're
so,
welcome.
Okay, we are about towards the end of our journey together.
Sure.
I want to hear in all of the work that you have done in the community, really educating and being an oral health advocate. What do you believe is your greatest accomplishment thus far?
I would say the work that I've been doing at my community health center. I have a fabulous team. We have had the opportunity to be awarded by the Duke Endowment to expand in schools. So we've been able to not only offer services at our fixed location, but also going out into the community and to provide services to students. Also, we are integrating medical and dental, and that is my passion, to really get people to see that they're connected.
Yes.
So being able to serve patients while they're getting their medical visit, they can also get their dental services, because it knocks down a lot of those social determinants of barriers to healthcare. Your travel, your not being able to find a provider. So we put your medical and your dental right there under the same roof. So you have one appointment, you don't have to waste your gas, you can take time off work at one time to get things done for your kids. So right now our focus has been kids, and I pray that it can expand to other communities as well, and other age groups as well.
I love that, and it reminds me of something that you mentioned earlier about how you can't take the mouth out of the body.
Yes.
And so why not, when we are going to the doctor already for our medical needs, why not also have our mouth addressed while we're there?
Right.
I think that that's a really great design.
Yes.
Okay, so we want to elevate your work. We want to elevate the message here about dental care and oral health and whole health, right? As including dental care. So what is something that you can give all of us to do right now? And what is also something that we can do to help elevate your work?
Okay. I would say what you can do right now is floss. That big article came out like, do you really need to floss? Yes, floss. That I have taken care of patients who have not seen a dentist in a long time, but they floss, and I swear it is the magic of floss.
Wow.
Not the little flosses from the Dollar Tree, like the traditional
old floss you wrap around your finger and get up in there. Okay,
exactly.
Okay.
And to elevate me, I think that support dentists, know that we're out here and we want the best. It's not the fancy car. Like, we really want people to get it. We want people to get healthier. And we're here to answer any questions that they have. So, we're not, we don't have to be afraid of us. I think that's how you can elevate us. So many people are afraid of the dentist.
Yes.
And, we're here to help you on your journey.
Oh, that is so good. You know what? And I think if all of us had you as our dentist, we would be going to the dentist a lot more frequently. But there are more Dr. Robinsons out there.
Yes.
Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, and it'll be me too. So,
Well, thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on our journey today. Thank you for joining us on our journey to equity. Thank you for being a health equity champion. Can you please share with everybody, where can they find you? Where can they follow you, your work?
Oh, okay. So currently I am the dental director at Charlotte Community Health Clinic, and we are located off 5301 Wilkinson Boulevard. And so that will be the best place for you to find me.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
And
Thank
you can find this show on Instagram at Our Journey to Equity. That's with the number 2. Or you can visit the show site at www.ourjourneytoequity.com. Thank you so much for joining us for another one of our journeys with our wonderful journeyer here today. Please, when you get a chance, tell us what you're doing to take action. I want to hear about how this might be helping you to take action in your own community, or for yourself personally, or even for your family. Rate us, review, and let us know how your journey is going. Thank you so much. Until next time.